Well, hello everyone and welcome to the 2022 Australian Institute of Architects National Prizes announcements. I'm Viv O'Connell and it is my pleasure to present these prizes today, which celebrate the exceptional contributions of the Institute's members. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of lands across Australia, and in particular, the traditional owners of the land on which we're bringing you these announcements today, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. And to set the scene and make the very first of today's announcements, it's my pleasure to welcome the Institute's National President, Tony Giannone. Well, hi Tony, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Now Tony, as National President, you were the jury chair for each of the prizes we'll be announcing today. For those who haven't watched before, can you give us a sense of what the national prizes are all about?
Well, today we actually cover, I think, the whole spectrum in terms of what we do as a practice, from education. We look at the sustainability, but we also look at in terms of our student prizes, in terms of how they emerge, right through to our most distinguished awards, which is the gold medal, which is the highest accolade that the Institute bestows on an individual or a practice. And from that, I also get the privilege to announce the President's Prize, which is a great honour itself and makes part of this journey and over the last year. That's just one of the great things I get to do and the privilege of doing that.
And you're coming to the end of your term. Do you have any comments about your time as National President?
Look, it's been a turbulent, well, not so much 12 months, really the last 2 years, and I suppose I'm just a representation at the helm of what we do. We have a fantastic team that contribute to the Institute in terms of getting the messages through. And we have gone through some turbulent times. The world has changed over the last 2 years. And I became the Zoom president, I suppose, and the connection back across the country from that is a completely different perspective. But the way we practice, the way we work, the way we live, I think has changed probably forever, but in a good way, with a lot of hardships that come through that. I'd also say, not just from the Institute's point of view, the hardships that Australia has gone through. We're just seeing the devastation on the East Coast and the flooding as a backup to the fires, a few years ago. But a lot of that, it's not fair to sort of compare, but the atrocities of war that are happening over in Ukraine at the moment, and my heart bleeds for a lot of what's happening through that. So just like to take a minute to also acknowledge what is happening on the other side of the world.
And just touching on the domestic issues that you mentioned there, do you see a role for the profession in addressing some of these challenges?
Yeah, Viv, I think we're so well placed to actually contribute to that. I mean, we are the first point in terms of re-establishing or redesign, and even, I suppose, in terms of being consulted about policy, in terms of the way forward out of those natural disasters. So as a profession, I think we do have a lot to answer for across multiple generations. And one of the things I'm proud of really this year is seeing the voice of the emerging come through and making a really strong stance. I think that's all for the best. And even as I hand over to Shannon, I think in the coming sort of weeks, what we're getting through that is, there's almost changing the guard in terms of our advocacy, and I think that's just a great thing. So as part of that, yes, contributing to the profession, contributing to policy making, influencing the way we live, and being able to design for a new norm, I suppose. I mean, that's an overstated word, I suppose, but it is a new norm in terms of the way we practice.
Well, the first announcement is one that you have significant involvement in, Tony, as the name suggests. What is the focus of the National President's Prize?
It's one of the great honours of sitting in this chair, I suppose, in terms of being able to pick who the President's Prize go to. And for background, the President's Prize is awarded to an individual and not necessarily part of the profession, but outside of that, but contributes to the understanding of the profession, contributes to the advocacy or the visibility of the profession. This year's recipient is Kai Liu, and it gives me great pleasure to congratulate Kai on the award. The most humble and most respected individuals. The work often goes understated. The connection between furniture and craftsmanship and making, I suppose, with our profession in terms of architecture really do go hand in hand, and they complement each other. Kai's work has been exemplar in that regard. His work is held across multiple galleries internationally and in our own state galleries. His works come through sometimes where we don't even see them, and they're understated, but they have great visibility and great simplicity. It's often referred to as work of beauty, and beauty is a word that sometimes can have lots of conceptions, but when they actually add to what we do as an accompaniment to architecture, it can hold no greater place. And so once again, it just gives me a great privilege to actually announce Kai as the recipient of that, so congratulations, Kai.
Kai Liu has been at the forefront of understanding Australian historical and cultural artefacts. From his Adelaide studio and workshop, he acts as consultant to state and national institutions, advising on acquisition and conservation in the field of Australian material culture. As a designer, he draws on this knowledge and on his cultivated design language to produce useful, meaningful and delightful work that speaks of its time, place, people and culture. His work has been exhibited internationally and is represented in the permanent collections of Australia's leading collecting institutions, including the National Gallery of Australia. His advocacy of beautiful and purposeful architecture to clients, as well as the passing of this knowledge to students, has been exemplary. And the 2022 National President's Prize recognises the breadth of his influence within the architecture profession. Congratulations, Kai Liu.
Thank you very much. The National President's Prize is a tremendous acknowledgement, and I would like to thank Tony Giannoni and the Australian Institute of Architects for this wonderful prize and great honour. I can't think of others who are just as deserving, and so I accept this prize humbly, with much humility, and to share this award with them also. Over the years, I've had the great pleasure of travelling alongside very special Australian architects on their creative roads on many occasions, and so many of them good friends. Along the way, I saw firsthand the love of the profession, the fine thinking, the cultivated eye, the love of the land, the sensitive responses, and importantly, the passion to do better. I also witnessed the fortitude and the resilience, the courage to go one step further, roads so full of heart, so inspiring and reassuring, roads that have ultimately led to the great works that have settled so meaningfully on the Australian landscape today. Incredibly outstanding architecture that make us proud of who we are. Thank you for allowing me the great pleasure to traipse along on your journeys. To be with you, to witness all this is reward enough. Once again, I would like to thank the Australian Institute of Architects for this very, very special honour. Thank you.
Congratulations indeed, Kai, and thanks so much for sending through those comments. Well, the next announcement celebrates members in the early stages of the profession, the Student Prize for the Advancement of Architecture. Tony Giannoni was, of course, the chair of the jury, and he was joined by Lisa Moore, Dr. Helen Norrie, and SONA President Leanne Haydar. The jury considered SONA members who've made an outstanding contribution towards the advancement of architecture, including through leadership, publication, community engagement or education. And the jury certainly had their work cut out for them this year with exceptional candidates. And they have awarded the prize jointly this year to 2 recipients. The first prize recipient is Isabella Reynolds. Isabella has operated at the intersection of student experience and the broader profession in a skilled and sophisticated manner, showing strong leadership in interdisciplinary design and collaboration. In 2020, she founded the ongoing Architecture and Panel series, engaging members of the profession in discussions on architecture and its surrounding disciplines. And in her Student of Architecture role at BVN in Brisbane, she established an open-to-all guest lecture program featuring Brisbane artists and emerging architects. Isabella operates effectively in cross-disciplinary environments, and broadly influences the architecture profession in a manner that is cross-generational and noteworthy considering her years of experience. Her contributions have benefited her student cohort and demonstrate the positive impact that students can have on the future of the profession. Congratulations, Isabella Reynolds.
I'm really honoured by this recognition and would like to extend my thanks to the Institute of Architects as well as the architecture community in Brisbane. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege of learning from experts and industry leaders across a variety of disciplines, including engineering, construction, architecture and art. To me, it's really great that these projects get national recognition. The cultivation of community and public discourse is essential to refining our industry towards politically, environmentally, and culturally informed practice. I also want to acknowledge the generous donation of time and expertise from our event partners and our speakers, which is integral to these intersectional events that foster critical and interdisciplinary engagement. As an emerging practitioner myself, I'm eager to build connections with neighbouring disciplines, each of which offers unique methodologies and technologies. It's through this exchange that mutual respect, new knowledge, and unique solutions can be explored. Being open to diverse and alternate ways in thinking and producing are crucial ingredients when facing new difficulties. Also, my deep thanks to my family who give their time, expertise, and criticality generously. The ability to volunteer and start programs like this one is only possible through their immense support. Thanks very much, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks so much, Isabella, and congratulations once again. And the joint winner of the 2022 Student Prize for the Advancement of Architecture is Thomas Huntingford. Thomas has formed meaningful relationships with his teachers, peers and colleagues, collaborating with them to increase student engagement with architectural discourse. Working with his lecturer, in 2020 he started the initiative Interviewing Designers and Architects, and in 2019 created the Melbourne School of Design Discussion Board Facebook group, an online platform with more than 1,500 members, which allows the sharing of work, ideas and events. His leadership and advocacy have brought a peer-to-peer approach to SONA's executive team, and by providing students with a safe place to contribute and do more through friendship and camaraderie, he has had a positive impact on the culture of architectural education. Congratulations, Thomas Huntingford. And I caught up with Thomas a little earlier in Germany and asked him how it felt to receive this prize.
It's a really great honour to get this prize. I mean, I've been for the last over a decade hanging around the institute with my dad and seeing young people receiving the student prize for the advancement of architecture. It's pretty surreal to actually be the one getting the prize this year. So yeah, it's strange, especially now over here in Munich, on the other side of the world. It's pretty surreal, really. And yeah, I guess I should thank a few people, or groups of people even. I mean, so the AIA in general has been great, and in particular the National SONA Committee and the Victorian chapter. They've given me some excellent opportunities over the years through SONA and through being part of chapter council and sitting on the education committee and the editorial committee and being a part of the Sustainability and Architecture Forum. Also KTA, Kirsten Thompson Architects, where I was working for the last 4 years. I had some great mentors there, and it was just such a great opportunity to work in such a high quality practice and learn so much. And I suppose last but not least would be the University of Melbourne and all my mentors there, where I did my undergraduate degree and now undertaking a master's. Also I've had some amazing opportunities through the university and the Melbourne School of Design. So yeah, thank you.
Well, congratulations once again, Thomas. And now to the Leadership in Sustainability Prize, which recognises exceptional leadership and an outstanding contribution to the advancement of sustainability and the built environment. The jury was chaired by Tony, and his fellow jurors included Sarah Lynn Rees, Dr. Melinda Dodson and Mark Lucis. This prize recognises an individual or a group's achievements through architecture, effective advocacy, education and community engagement. And the jury have awarded the 2022 Leadership in Sustainability Prize to Dr. Kenneth Yang. Dr. Kenneth Yang has, for decades, responded to the twin planetary emergencies of climate change and biodiversity loss. As an architect, planner, prolific author and ecologist, his early experiments with bioclimatic and passive design bucked trends. At a time when many large-scale projects were the byproduct of mechanical and artificial systems, he sought greater harmony between architecture and nature to decarbonise buildings through passive and ecological design strategies, theorised, implemented, tested and disseminated through his extensive publication and teaching, including by invitation to Australian universities. Through his pioneering actions, he has led a paradigm shift in sustainable built environment research and practice, inspiring a generation of architects, planners and engineers in Australia and worldwide. Congratulations, Dr. Kenneth Yang.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to receive your Leadership and Sustainability Prize. Everyone in my family is pleased, including my mum, and I'm particularly happy to receive it. For those of you who know our work, we've been working in ecological design and sustainable design since 1971. And our work is very research-driven. And so our research work is translated into our projects. Our projects influence further research work, and then everything is published in books. And till to date, I've written about 12 books on sustainable architecture, which are part of our rite of passage. So I want to thank particularly my business partner, Tunku Robert Hamza, with whom we have been working together since 1976, and whom we were students together at the Architecture Association in London. He attended Dr. Königsberger's School of Tropical Architecture, and so him and I started life as bioclimatic tropical architects, and then I moved on to do a doctorate in ecological design at Cambridge University, and together bioclimatic design, the ecological design, became our life's agenda for our architecture. And so we are continuing plugging away with what we're doing, thinking, inventing, researching, designing, and building. And your prize would definitely motivate us to do greater and better work. And I'm eternally grateful to the Australian Institute of Architects for giving this prize to me. I hope to meet all of you one day in person and to share a jug of beer together.
Thank you, Dr. Ken. And yes, he's hoping we'll be able to see you in person very soon. That brings us now to the final announcement, the Australian Institute of Architects Gold Medal. The Australian Institute of Architects Gold Medal is the highest honour the Institute can bestow and has been awarded annually to Australia's most notable architects since 1960. It recognises those who have produced work of great distinction, advancing architecture and the profession. Well, the Gold Medal jury was chaired by Tony, and he was joined in the deliberations by immediate past President Alice Hampson, past President David Korotkin, Camilla Block and John Denton. And so without any further ado, it's my absolute pleasure to announce that the 2022 Australian Institute of Architects Gold Medal is awarded to Sean Godsell. Sean Godsell's body of work, publications, exhibitions and speaking and teaching engagements have received accolades in Australia. But for a small practice that has completed a relatively small number of dedicated projects, his level of international recognition is unparalleled. His work has contributed significantly by expressing on a global stage an architectural response to Australia's unique landscape. His architecture is as unwavering as it is singular, and his projects are at once personal, rigorous and relevant, each envisioned from its specific context. Godsell graduated with first-class honours from University of Melbourne in 1984, then travelled in Japan and Europe before working in London for Dennis Lasdun in the late 1980s. After returning to Melbourne at the end of that decade, he went on to form Godsell Associates Architects in 1994. In 1999, he obtained a master's degree in architecture from RMIT University, with a thesis titled The Appropriateness of Contemporary Australian Dwelling, and his work since has been published in many of the world's leading architectural journals. He received a citation from the President of the American Institute of Architects in 2003 for his work for the homeless. His Future Shack prototype exhibited at the Smithsonian Institute's Cooper Hewitt Design Museum in New York. In 2008, he was nominated by Kenneth Frampton for the inaugural BSI Swiss Architectural Award for architects under the age of 50, and his work was exhibited in both the Milan Triennale and the Venice Biennale in the same year. Among his many international contributions and accolades, he received the 2016 Detail Prize in Germany for the 2014 M Pavilion, a Papal Silver Medal for his Vatican Chapel, and was invited to speak at the New York Architectural League and Yale University School of Art and Architecture. Godsell's work defines an extraordinary commitment to excellence in design, detail and resolution, allowing us to experience the expression of an intense master craftsman. To achieve all of this in his practice time frame is an extraordinary achievement that is recognised, lauded and celebrated through the award of the 2022 Gold Medal. Congratulations, Sean Godsell.
Thank you, Viv, very much. And my sincere thanks too to National President Tony Giannone and everyone at the Institute, the awards jury, and also those who nominated me for this special prize. Thanks too to those people who have taken the time to write essays and anecdotes about me and my work. Your time, efforts and thoughts are much appreciated. This recognition by my peers is something that I will certainly celebrate and cherish with many. You know, it's a fact that on more than one occasion I've walked into my office and thought, we're not going to make it to lunchtime. In a small practice, just keeping the doors open is a triumph. For all architects, getting up off the canvas every single time we're knocked down is a testament to our grit and determination as a profession, and to the patience, endurance and support of our friends and families and loved ones who inevitably become the collateral damage caused by the relentless struggle to make architecture. My wife Anne-Marie and son Jack have witnessed firsthand the triumphs and disappointments of nearly 40 years of practice, and I'm forever grateful for their unwavering love and support of my career and all the sacrifices that entails. The support of my wonderful clients, my colleagues and collaborators has been remarkable, and their contributions to my work extraordinary. So too the many builders who have committed their time and resources to crafting my buildings and delivering the details. I'm grateful too to all those who have worked with me over the past 3 decades, particularly my brother Chris, a fine architect in his own right, and to, of course, my long-time associate Hayley Franklin. Hales's creativity and professionalism are exceptional, as are her stamina and commitment to producing meaningful architecture. qualities that have directly contributed to the ongoing success of my office. Her humour and stoicism in the face of adversity are integral to the day-to-day pleasure of practice, and her contributions to the profession more broadly are noteworthy. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the influence that my father, the architect David Godsall, had on my decision to pursue a career in architecture. As a young boy in the 1960s, I would follow Dad around his building sites, collecting scraps of timber to build my own projects at home, which were often documented while sitting on his knee as he drew. Dad was a Frank Lloyd Wright acolyte, and his love of architecture and body of built work helped set my career path at the relatively early age of 5, and that infectious passion remains ever present in the current work of my practice, which continues to explore new possibilities and push presupposed boundaries in architecture. And so my tiny, precious office continues to endure. I can honestly say that in all my years of practice, I've never asked for work or hocked myself on the curb or played the expected game. From our small outpost at the bottom of the world, we've dug in and chosen to stare down the backroom boys and set our own terms. And people don't always like that. It's an often unpopular and at times misunderstood position. That choice has also meant long periods of time spent sitting around without much to do, waiting for the phone to ring and hoping for a new project. If I can put aside the merit of the work itself for a moment, the assessment of which in the end, of course, is for others to make, I think it's probably fair to say that it's precisely because I choose to sit and wait for that next phone call that my colleagues have been kind enough to give me this award. And for that, I am certainly most humble and very grateful.
Congratulations once again, Sean, and thank you so much for those remarks. And that concludes the 2022 National Prizes announcements. On behalf of the Institute, I'd like to thank National President Tony Giannone and all of the jurors for all of their efforts. And I'd like to congratulate the recipients once again on your extraordinary achievements. Now, if you're a member of the Institute, you'll know we're heading into Architecture Awards season, kicking off in early June and streaming live every week through to mid-July. You'll find the details for each of the state and territory streams on the Institute's website. And I hope you can join us for another great year. In the meantime, thanks again for watching, take care and see you soon.